Welcome back, guys. Lesson 97 is about transversals. Now, guys, be prepared. There's a lot of notes to take today, okay? So just get a good stretch and let's get started, okay? Okay, transversals. A transversal is a line that intersects two or more other lines, okay? Now, they don't necessarily have to be parallel lines that are intersected, but today we're talking about parallel lines that are intersected by a transversal because there's a lot of special things that happen when we have a set of parallel lines that get intersected by a transversal, okay? So I'm talking about these two lines as my parallel lines, and this line here is my transversal, okay? I'll go ahead and label it T for transversal, okay? Now, when I have my parallel lines and then I draw a transversal, I hope you see that there are 8 angles that are created, okay? Now, some of these angles are considered interior angles, okay? Interior angles, that means they are inside of the parallel lines. In this case, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are interior angles, okay? Now, exterior angles are outside of the parallel lines. So 1 and 2 are exterior, 7 and 8 are exterior, okay? So you need to know these terms: interior angles, exterior angles, okay? Now, I'm going to go to the next slide. On the next slide, my picture looks a little different. We're going to talk about some other features when a set of parallel lines are intersected by a transversal, okay? We're going to use this figure now, okay? So my transversal goes this way. If you want to draw this in your notes, go ahead. This figure here, okay? So these are our parallel lines. This is our transversal, okay? Angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, okay? So let's talk first about corresponding angles, okay? I'll read the definition. You need to make sure to get it in your notes. Corresponding angles are congruent. They are on the same side of a transversal and on the same side of each parallel line, okay? So in this case, angles 1 and 5 are corresponding angles, okay? Angle 1 is to the left of the transversal and above this top parallel line. Angle 5 is to the left of the transversal and above this parallel line. Okay, do you see it? Angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. Angle 2 is to the right of the transversal and above the parallel line. Angle 6 is to the right of the transversal and above the parallel line. Okay, you see it? Same thing for angles 3 and 7. 3 and 7. Angle 3 is below the parallel line and to the left of it. Angle 7 is below the parallel line and to the left of the transversal. Okay? So that's what we were talking about when we're talking about corresponding angles. Okay? You need to get that in your notes. Pause the video anytime you need to. Alternate interior angles. Okay, now we already said interior angles are inside of the parallel line. So in this case, it's 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Alternate interior angles, they are also congruent. They have the same measure, but they're on opposite sides of the transversal and between the parallel lines, okay? So in this case, angle 4 and 5 are alternate interior angles. They're both interior angles, but they're on alternate sides of the transversal. Angle 4 and angle 5, you can see they're both obtuse angles. They are congruent, okay? Angle 3 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles. They're both inside of the parallel lines, but they're on opposite sides of the transversal, okay? So guess what the next one is? Alternate exterior, okay? So they're going to be outside of the parallel lines. They're going to have the same measure, but be on opposite sides of the transversal. So look at angle 1. I need an angle that is also exterior, but has the same measure. Angle 1 is obtuse. Angle 8 is the alternate exterior angle. Angle 7 is an exterior angle. Angle 2 is the alternate exterior angle. Okay? Okay, get all this in your notes. It's best to draw this figure so that you can have these examples in your notes too, okay? Okay, here are some truths. If parallel lines are crossed by a non-perpendicular transversal, I'm not talking about this. That's perpendicular. I mean non-perpendicular, like that. Okay? If they are crossed by a non-perpendicular transversal, remember we get 8 angles that are created, right? The obtuse angles are all congruent. The acute angles created are all congruent. There's 8 angles created. 4 are obtuse, 4 are acute. All the obtuse angles have the same measure. All the acute angles have the same measure. Any acute angle and obtuse angle together are supplementary. If I take one of those obtuse angles and combine it with one of my acute angles, they're supplementary. That means they add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So let's look back. Look at angle 1 and angle 2. Angle 1 is obtuse. Angle 2 is acute. If I combine them together, they are supplementary. Okay? Look at angle 2 and angle 4. Angle 2 is acute. Angle 4 is obtuse. If I combine them together, they form 180 degrees. They're supplementary. Okay? Okay. So let's try one. Parallel lines X and Z are crossed by transversal T. Angle 7 measures 35 degrees. What are the measures of all the other angles? I'm going to go back one slide. All the acute angles are congruent. If I combine an acute angle with an obtuse angle, they have to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, take a minute. See if you can figure out what all the other angles measure. Angle 7 is acute. It measures 35 degrees. Guess what all the other acute angles in the figure measure? Yep, 35 degrees. So this is 35. This is 35. This is 35. Okay? Now how do I figure out what the obtuse angles measure? Well, if I combine an acute angle with an obtuse angle, when I'm dealing with transversals, it has to add up to 180. So 180 minus 35, that's 4. All the obtuse angles have to measure 145 degrees. Okay? Good? Okay. I'm going to erase all this because that's a bunch of mess. Okay? Now they want us to name a pair of corresponding angles. Corresponding angles, okay? Corresponding angles have to both be acute or both obtuse. They have to both be in the same position related to the transversal and the parallel line, okay? So I'm going to look at angle 1. What angle corresponds with angle 1? Angle 1 is to the right of the transversal and above a parallel line. So I'm looking for another angle that is to the right of the transversal and above a parallel line. That would be angle 5. So 1 and 5, and we should have these angle marks there. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. What corresponds to angle 2? Angle 6. What corresponds to angle 3? Angle 7. What corresponds to angle 4? Angle 8. Okay? Okay, alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. So I'm looking inside the parallel lines. I want angles that have the same measure, but they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So if I look at angle 2, angle 8 is the alternate interior angle. If I look at angle 3, angle 5 is the alternate interior angle. So you could have done 2 and 8 or 3 and 5. Now I need to name a pair of alternate exterior angles. Okay, so I'm looking outside the parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal. Angle 1, the alternate exterior angle would be angle 7, 1 and 7. Angle 4, the alternate exterior angle would be angle 6, 4 and 6. Okay? It's a lot of vocabulary words, guys. Okay? Go ahead and pause your video. I want you to do the practice set. Go ahead and do A through E on the practice set. There are also another example in your book, okay? If you need more practice on this before you do the practice set, okay? There's example 1 on 505, okay? But go ahead and pause your video, get the practice set done, and then come back. Okay. A says, which line in the figure is the transversal? Here's our figure, okay? The transversal is line C. F and G are the parallel lines. Line C intersects the lines, okay? Which angle is an alternate interior angle to 3? So here's angle 3. I need the alternate interior angle. It's angle 5, okay? Angle 5. C says, which angle corresponds to angle 8? Here's angle 8. It's to the left of the transversal and above the parallel line. So I need angle 4, left of the transversal, above the parallel line. Okay? Angle 4 is the answer to C. D, which angle is an alternate exterior angle to angle 7? Angle 7. I need an alternate exterior angle, so it has to be on the other side of the transversal. It has to be congruent to angle 7, which is obtuse. And it has to be exterior. So you should have chosen angle 1. Okay? Now E says, if the measure of angle 1 is 105 degrees, what's the measure of the other angles? Angle 1 measures 105 degrees. Angle 1 is obtuse. So this one is 105, and this one is 105, this one is 105. Okay? All the obtuse angles have the same measure. Now to figure out the acute angles, I know that angle 1 and angle 4 have to add up to 180. So 180 minus 105 gives me 75 degrees. So guess what all the acute angles measure? 75 degrees, 75 degrees, 75 degrees, 75 degrees, 75 degrees. Okay? Transversals are kind of cool. You can actually learn a lot of information. It's kind of cool that we make 8 angles. If I know the measure of one of them, I can figure out the 7 other angles. That's kind of cool. Okay? Okay. So you guys need to spend time going over all these different things. Corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, all these things, okay? Okay. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.